Hi, my name is Maru, and I'm the founder of Awakening Games, and you're listening to Awakening Games Dialogues. Hi, today we're going to talk about why we are stuck in our mind, how to surrender into the heart and connect and follow the heart. How can we take into what is an experience and maybe conceptualize it in a way that the mind can receive it by opening up more and more into the heart. So let's give it a try. So the reason why we are all stuck in our mind is because we are meant to be. And I know this sounds kind of oxymoron, but the reason why we have gotten stuck in our mind in the first place is because we define everything with meaning and stories. So we're amazing script writers, and we are either writing the script of the movie we want to adopt or avoid. And those are kind of our only two options, our binary options. These are the survival options. Not the ones that we would actually choose from a soul level and heart level, but as if the infinite universe had become so finite that the only options were actually one saying yes to what I know cognitively, what looks familiar, or yes, anything outside of the mind, outside of the boxes of the mind, outside of the limitations of the mind is inaccessible, because the mind cannot access anything outside of its limitations unless we drop into our heart. Accessing the heart is something that we do not feel safe for some reason. It is kind of our real being, our real way of communicating and being and living life. But it's kind of like we have forgotten, because the way we forget is, well, we experience life before our awakening when we are in our sleep mode, our survival mode. We experience it by continuously avoiding the present moment, which means we actually want to control the future outcome or long for and grip to the past, or vice versa. We can be gripping on to the future, to a future potential, and trying to escape the past. This is our defense mode. It's kind of, how we are wired to protect ourselves from ourselves, because we ourselves are a danger to ourselves. This is what we have believed. This is the core information of trauma. And so the moment the mind tries to look into the future, basically what it's trying to avoid is control, actually fear, by controlling a future potential outcome. So the more the mind needs to visit the future, the less in the present moment we are. And this is how we get stuck in the mind. The same goes for the past. The more we are stuck in longing for the past or escaping it, because both those energies are actually opposite, thus the same. Again, why are we visiting the past through our mind? Well, because we are escaping an emotion of feeling loneliness, emptiness, sadness, which is again the fear of loneliness, fear of sadness, fear of that emotion. And so our mind tries to bounce back from future to past and past to future, escaping the present moment in every second of our life. And this is our protective mechanism. We actually think things so that we can avoid to feel the very uncomfortable emotions and feelings. And this is how we avoid the present moment. And this is how we avoid to access our heart. We can access our heart when we allow to be in the here and now. But in order to get there, we need to let go of the thoughts. And of course, in order to get there, there are some steps that can assist us to get there with speed. And when I mean speed, it's, we need to speak the language of the ego, the subconscious mind. We need to understand how these interconnect and communicate so that we do not make this process one that, we enter into many levels of default modes, other blind spots. It's not necessarily easy, but it is courageous. And the moment we make the decision to enter the heart, we can therefore master this place we've chosen to be in by making the choice to connect with the heart. But what does to connect with the heart mean? I mean, in words, intentions are words, but if there is no holistic or integrated understanding of what that means, we do not really mean when we say the words, I want to connect to my heart. Those words have no energy, no life. They're like dead words, just words with no vibration. But when we speak from the place of being willing to face any fear involved in connecting with our heart, then actually universe, our reality, God, ourselves, our subconscious, makes way to bring up the information that until now we did not want to receive because we felt threatened by this information. And so the moment we receive this information that causes us fear and lean into fear instead of avoid it, in that moment we drop more deeply in our heart center. Now again, this is not the only way, but if you have found yourself going around in circles in your life, through different techniques and methods, and you really want to break through and access your heart chakra, no matter the fear, then if you intend this and ask for what it is that this fear is, to be willing to receive it and seeing it, to face it and get to know it and connect with it, then whatever the excuse that we have been using until now to avoid becoming the person that is, has, and does what we are aiming at, when we decide, make the choice, the conscious choice that yes, I'm ready, there is no way that we will not, through fear, connect to heart, soul, and become love. There is no way possible. But the reason why we all want the shortcuts is because we are wanting to escape that part of us that means growth, that means facing what causes us quote-unquote negative emotions. But this is a lie, because in all truth, what we are avoiding looks a lot bigger than what it is we are actually avoiding when we turn around to look at it. So this is what's really oxymoron. When we avoid our fear, it is a big, huge monster. The moment we decide to turn around instead of look away and look at our fear, we then realize that this is a part of ourselves that until now is coming through, so that we can become integrated in one, because we have been split into two. This is how we, how can I say it, choose to, live life with only a small portion of who we think we are, and we don't access our infinite potential, because in order to become more and more of our infinite potential, there is that part, that moment that is repeated again and again, that fear through many means and ways can creep up through other people, situations, on all levels, through anxiety, which is just a smaller fear, right? It's still fear. It could come up, and in that moment, our default mode is to just fight it or turn the other way and ignore it and suppress it. And both these default modes are our protective mechanisms. And these protective mechanisms are functioning as a cutting off, disconnecting us from that other part of us that we call and defined as the unknown, what is causing us fear, the part of us that we are threatened by. So first, we receive this information, and because it's coming from that undiscovered part of ourselves, we right away feel threatened and just make it look like fear. So it has become fear because now we have believed that we do not want to know it, having forgotten that it is the part of us that we so desperately want to meet and merge with, to become our expanded version of self. So when we ask, for example, for anything, health, wealth, abundance, relationships, whatever you want to label, whatever it is we're asking for, the universe responds right away. There is no moment it does not say yes right away. And it either manifests something on our outer world as we asked, or it brings information which we can define as positive or negative. And the moment we feel threatened by anything we define as negative, because negative is only something that it's information that we have defined as such because we're not willing to go there. So the protective mechanism reacts in cutting this connection or this receiving of information so that we can stop hurting. And this is the way we do not actually lean into the information to face our fear, grow through it, and then open our heart. So every time we feel any sort of pain, fear, anxiety, disappointment, sadness, our protective mechanism, in order to protect us from feeling this emotion, will cut out what is supposedly, the thought of whatever it is we're thinking of causing us the pain, so we can disconnect from that person or that event or that situation. And thus we also stunt our growth. So we are avoiding our fear at a cost, at a great cost. We're avoiding our fear so that we never become the person who is experiencing the life worth being experienced. Well, not that life in general, the one we, on a soul level and heart level, really, really want. So, our soul and our heart already know, they have already chosen this quote-unquote ideal life that is for us. And this is the fate, as I would like to call. Now the free will is coming from our conscious mind, our ego mind, that can either surrender into this, which means face fear, connect to heart, and thus surrender, then face fear again, allow to feel fear, and then drop into fear, and then we drop into our heart. And then this is the process of surrendering again and again and again. Like my favorite Rumi says, and I don't quote the exact words, but break your heart again and again until it breaks open. Literally, it's not breaking open. The way I see it and feel it and experience it is the more we are courageous to understand how fear is our catalyst for our heart opening. The more and more we call it in, the more we call in our fear, the faster those shields, those frozen layers, protective layers on our heart start to melt. And this is when the heart starts to open. And this is when the heart starts to open and actually from here can lead. And it doesn't exactly lead, it leads and receives at the same time. On the heart level, the yin and yang duality have become one. You see, the mind is in the dual. When we embrace both the letting go, the positive and the accepting of the negative, that's when we drop into the heart. That's when the two become one. The two is the mind, the one is the heart. That's why the ancient Greeks may be called dialogues, the way they called them, because dialogue in Greek means Dias, which is the name of Zeus. So Zeus, the name of the god of gods, had two names for the ancient Greeks. They had Dias and Zeus. Dias is dia, right? So dia is two, dio, which means split, two, separate. Zeus, which is Zeus, is the merging of the two into one. So within the mind, when we are on the mind level, we are fighting or ignoring duality. Doing one or the other is the same. And then when we embrace it, because it has information to guide us into oneness, we enter the heart level. And this we can do by calling in our fear. And if we're afraid to call in all of our fear, or just call in fear vaguely and without defining it, we can ask to call it in slowly, so that we're able to process it until we feel comfortable enough to allowing fear to come in, and we embrace it by allowing it to go through us. You see the difference with, because I do get a lot of my students and clients confusing what facing and embracing and accepting, what it really is, and maybe I can guide you a bit with this. So, you see, tolerating the negative is a lot different than receiving it. So the difference is that it's the end goal in mind. So when the end goal is to not hurt or to get done with whatever is causing us pain, or to go through the pain to actually get to the positive, manifestation, for example, when that is our aim, that is our intention, while we are feeling the negative or the fear, right? Then this is tolerating. This is exactly what tolerating is. When our aim, when our intention is just to meet our fear and nothing else, the only important thing is just for us to meet our fear, then that's when the meeting of it becomes unconditional instead of conditional. So conditional means to go in and access with another agenda, with two agendas, not just one. Because you remember, the two are in the mind, the one is in the heart. So when I enter and face my fears so that I can have, do, become, be with, I don't know, when I face my shadow self, my darkness, the negative, and I feel that it's very painful, it's because I am resisting this process, because I have two intentions. I never had the intention to actually meet myself before the negative, before the unknown, because this is who we are meeting. We are meeting in the darkness, that part of ourselves, or ourselves, we're meeting us there so we can bring in the light. And this is how we expand more and more of who we are, by going into the darkness and being there with us, with no conditions of anything going anywhere else. So if I have that intention that I will go into my darkness so that I can have more, be more, and have an outcome other than meeting me there, it will not work. Or if it does, it will work on a certain level. So this is what being and learning, actually, how to be in the heart, how to access the heart. And the more and more we master this beingness by calling in the fear, and our attention being just to meet us before the unknown and be there with us, then we access the heart from here more and more. We could also experience heart-opening experiences, and this is the process of surrendering from the mind into the heart, again and again and again. Until next time, it was a pleasure sharing with you today. If you would like to find us elsewhere as well, make sure to subscribe, like, comment below, and follow us on social media. All the links are in the description box below. And here is where you will also find our free audiobook of our technique. Make sure to download it and tell us what you think and feel. We so appreciate your feedback. If you are interested in game shops, do let us know by choosing your game. We will be constantly updating our links in our description boxes in all our audios. And if you are interested in a one-to-one setting, do reach out. We will be happy to invest our time in you and make sure this is a win-win outcome. For anything else, you know where to find us now. Thank you for your time. I wish us all love